Guys, this film was incredible. I enjoyed it so much, and it looked like you guys were having a lot of fun too. It looked like there was great chemistry between you all. So what was it like being able to be gangsters on film? Well, really you, Charlie.
Yeah, it was a treat. You know, I'd obviously grown up. I've talked about it a lot in the past that I grew up a big fan of Guy Ritchie's. You know, as I was becoming an actor at the time, I started acting and auditioning a lot with the time that his first 2 movies came out. And, you know, being in London, he really became this sort of central axis for a moment of the British filmmaking. And, you know, it was a sort of a breath of fresh air. So I always had a real hope and aspiration at some point to get to work with him. And, you know, we did one film before, which was sort of a departure from the classic Guy Ritchie style of filmmaking.
Right.
But it was a real treat. But, you know, when he sent me this script, I thought, this is the one
Finally.
when I was 18 years old that I dreamed of doing with Guy. So
that's really
it's
cool.
kind of cool in that regard.
Yeah, and Hugh, I mean, you really stepped out of what people expected from you. You're usually like this kind of suave, dreamy character, and here you were totally different. What was that like?
He's still pretty dreamy.
Well, it was fun. It was fun. It was fun. It's you know, actors much prefer being evil to being good, and
really?
And it's easier too.
Why do you think it's so much easier?
Well, it's easier in the sense that the camera quite likes it naturally. It's harder to be interesting if you're good.
Yeah, I guess so. So in this particular film, I mean, your character is kind of like a weasel of sorts. I mean, you said before that you sort of drew some inspiration from some of the private investigators who have sort of stalked you. How did you do that?
Yeah, because I've been campaigning for 8 years about the wrongdoings, criminalities in the British tabloid press.
Right.
And during those years, some of the guys who actually committed those crimes, a lot of whom were private investigators, have come over to our side. So I've got to know them, and it is weird. There I am having lunch with someone who hacked my phone or burgled my flat. And, but they were quite useful in terms of this character.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, Charlie, your character is pretty cool because he kind of goes between these 2 dimensions. I think he's one of the only characters that really is with all of the cast.
Yeah.
What was that like working with such a huge cast that's very talented?
It's amazing. I've had 2 experiences like that this year, or last year, I should say, where I went through and worked with, you know, different actors every day. And it's amazing. I mean, what really struck me is how important it is to have a good rapport with the person, you know, that you're acting with. Some days, you know, it's sort of just like having a conversation or playing a sport with someone. There's so much involved in the energetic exchange of it. And some days I could find myself just being, you know, on fire, and some days it being a real struggle, you know, and I realized an enormous amount of that was to do with who I was playing the scene with, you know, that it was really down to chemistry, which seems like an obvious thing, but it, you know, it became I became acutely aware.
It's very delicate on a film set. If anyone's uncomfortable or nervous, it spreads like wildfire. It's very, very infectious. Even, you know, I could be doing a scene with us 2, and then there's a character of a waiter who brings in a cup of coffee. If he's nervous, I get nervous.
Sort of plays off
Yes,
yeah.
yes. It's very delicate. We're very delicate flowers.
That's really cool.
Story.
Did Guy sort of encourage you guys to improv or ad-lib a lot when you were on set?
Yeah, I mean, I love doing that, and very often I've scribbled alternatives in the margin of my script anyway, so I put them in takes 2, 3, and 4, and see if anyone likes them.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of times things worked out really well because the film was pretty great.
Well, thanks.
Now, Hugh, you turned 60 this year. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yeah.
Oh, happy birthday.
Well, at least you can celebrate with this great cast and celebrate about this great movie because it was pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, not everybody knows that you also do a lot of screenwriting, Charlie, which is pretty cool. Do you have any projects set up for this year?
Yeah, I just sold a screenplay that I hope we will get made this year. You know, I have a tremendous track record of being able to write halfway decent screenplays and sell them, which is, you know, an enormous achievement into itself, and I'm always incredibly proud. More proud when I sell a screenplay than when I get hired to act in something, because, you know, it's something that I've generated and spent an enormous amount of time cultivating, shaping, and loving, and then you put it out to the world, and it's really encouraging and, you know, can fill one with a moment of pride when, you know, people would like to buy it. I have not been successful having any of those screenplays made yet. So I would just hope that in some shape or form this one will actually get made. But even if it doesn't, I really enjoy the process, so I'm going to keep on doing it. Whether I can ever get a film made or not, it'll
well,
be up to the gods.
Can you talk at all about the new project?
I don't think so, because it's still sort of being penned, and there's... I would talk about it, but there's a competing idea out there, and I don't want to let our competition know that we're their competition, because you know those things often happen where something will just become sort of oddly in the zeitgeist, and two very original films are getting made at the same time, and sometimes it's a race to the roof. It's a race to get into production, and who, you know, and the other one ends up falling by the wayside. So
well, I'm crossing my fingers for you that hopefully some point in time we'll see this one on screen.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, Hugh, I've heard that you and Matthew McConaughey have sort of been scheming to set your parents up. Has that actually happened?
Not yet.
Can we hope to see that happen? Have you started that conversation yet?
I need to start it. You're absolutely right. It's an obvious thing to do.
Okay, good. Well, we just had New Year's recently. Do you guys have any New Year's resolutions that you're hoping happen this year?
I have a lot. I took it very seriously.
Oh, do you?
2020, you know, start of a new decade. I am turning 40 this year, so there's a lot of resolution. Can't remember any of them.
But you do take it very seriously.
I do. You know, I do. The passing of the New Year is very important to me. I go to bed early on New Year's Eve, and I get up and I go and watch the sunrise on New Year's Day. Is usually the way I tackle that. You know,
that's awesome.
Welcome the New Year in.
But you don't drink, right?
I don't drink most of the year. About 51 weeks of the year I don't drink, and then I have a pretty jolly Christmas.
Is that right?
Yeah, I drank.
Just drunk the whole holiday.
4 bottles of Jameson over the holiday break, which was really pushing it. But I hadn't had a drink in months and months and months, so I just sort of vacillate from being teetotal and a degenerate alcoholic.
Thank you for watching. If you want more extra, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you'll never miss a video.